Hello again, I'm Dan. This is Vinyl Fury, and I'm taking a break from the Complete Vinyl Collection series for a good old-fashioned vinyl finds video. I've actually ended up bringing in, I don't know, a dozen or so records and a few tapes the last couple months, I guess. Just every once in a while stopped into a record store or a Goodwill and picked a few things up. So let's check those out. Some I've listened to, some I haven't. And this one, kind of a classic. I just wonder what this is. It was a sealed copy of this guy, Sam Harris, which is not the Sam Harris that I know, who was a philosopher and neuroscientist. It's called Sam I Am. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Obviously a play on the Dr. Seuss stuff. There's actually green eggs and ham on the back. Like I said, it was sealed. And it's produced for Quincy Jones Productions by Cliff Magnus and Glenn Ballard. So I assume Motown thought this was going to be a worthy investment in this artist. I've never heard of him. It was from 1985. So, I mean, I pretty much know exactly what this is going to sound like, although I haven't played it yet. And I didn't sample it or anything. I just wanted to do a classic blind buy. We'll see what we get. So that'll be interesting. Once I get to the 80s in the vinyl collection, maybe I'll still have this. Probably not. If you know what this is, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Now this I did listen to and really enjoyed. This is a Stanley Turrantine, The Baddest Turrantine, and it's a compilation. If I've ever had Turrantine records before, I don't have any now. Awesome cover. CTI, so you got that Creed Taylor production, excellent vinyl. It sounds fantastic, and I really enjoyed the jazz. Some really badass drumming from Billy Cobham. I think that was about $5. Very much worth it. You also got George Benson, Freddie Hubbard, Ron Carter, Eric Gale, and Bob James on this. So, pretty great stuff. Speaking of Ron Carter, this one's called Pick'em. Ron Carter is a jazz bassist. He plays something called piccolo bass, and I've been playing bass for years now. I still don't really know what a piccolo bass is, and I don't think I've ever seen one, but this is pretty good. Interesting arrangements. This is from 1980 on Milestone Records, so a little late, but it's engineered by Rudy Van Gelder. So, and it was an opened shrink wrap, so it's still in really great condition. I think that was another $5 one. I think I also got this at Goodwill, and I don't know why I got it, but it was actually pretty enjoyable. This is Alfred Cortot concert. It's in Everest Records, which I think is kind of reissue, archive music kind of thing. This is piano music, and it was better than I expected. Some great playing. It was a pretty clean copy. It's from the mid-60s. Not bad. I'll be keeping it. So this one I saw, and I was like, well, I definitely know that artwork. And I know Cal Jader. So I'll take a chance on this. And it was like $18. And I thought, well, that's a bit expensive for a used record. It is another Creed Taylor production on Verve. It's called Breeze from the East. But I looked it up, and it was even more than that on Discogs. But it was also well rated. So I figured I would just give it a shot, even to just have this this art. And I enjoyed it. It sounded really good. And actually, when I checked out, the clerk must have thought it said $10 on the sticker, because that's all he charged me for it. So it ended up being more worth it than I expected. So this is Dan Siegel, Pat O'Hearn, and Alex Acuna. Another Time, Another Place. And it looked like what it is. That kind of mid-80s programming, synth, blend kind of jazz kind of thing that I enjoy. Not quite new age, but a little bit as well. It's familiar, yet more musically interesting than I expected it to be, and even catchy at times. Synth heavy, and I think I expected it to be, and I even looked at it at the record store, and it is a transparent amber vinyl, so I think that's Quiet's vinyl from the 80s, which I like. Sometimes it's a nice surprise when you see one of these records and it's like, that looks a little odd, and then you hold it up to the light, and you can see through it. Sometimes it goes right through, sometimes you can just barely see the light, but that's always fun to see. And this was actually mastered by the one and only Bernie Grundman as well. Now this is exactly what I expected it to be. This is William Ackerman. That might be a little blown out, sorry. This is Childhood in Memory. I think that's one of the early Windham Hill records. I think it's number 6. So in 1979, and William Ackerman is, I believe, the one that started the label, guitar player. I had never had this one. I don't even know that I've ever seen it before, which was surprising because I've seen and I've gathered a lot of Windham Hill stuff over the years, but I didn't have this one, so I got that. And so after I got that Dan Siegel and I liked it, I saw this one at another store. This is a gold stamp promo on Electra from 1982. I think this is self-titled. Yeah, and it's also a white label promo. I haven't listened to this one yet, but I expect it to also be interesting. And this is also mastered by Bernie Grundman. This one I haven't listened to yet either. And I found it interesting because it's from a label from here in Portland. It's called Grassroots. And this is Paul Chaseman and Roger Hadley, guitar and percussion. It's called So Be It. And it seemed like something I might be interested in. See how it goes. And it's signed by Paul Chaseman. So we'll see about that. Another Cal Jader that I found that I haven't listened to yet. It's called Soul Burst. It's on Verve as well. Another Creed Taylor production. Ended up getting quite a bit of that. See, we got Chick Corea on here on piano. So I'm sure I'll be keeping that one, as long as it plays well. And this one was interesting because I've seen this cover. Maybe I've seen it in cheap bins before, but it's on the cover of a book that I got years ago that is a collection of old classic record covers. But I never actually had the record. It's called Black Satin, the George Shearing Quintet and Orchestra. And this happened to be a pretty nice copy of this on Capitol. I think it was $5. So I thought even just to have that cover, I will pick it up. And I did. I've not listened to it yet, though. I'm sure it's classic, easy listening stuff, but I may enjoy it. And speaking of, Michel Legrand, I do enjoy, and this is called Legrand Jazz. And it seems interesting to me. It's on Columbia, and it has Miles Davis and John Coltrane and Bill Evans and Paul Chambers and a bunch of other people on here. And it's a Columbia 6i on what's kind of like a Merlot, almost purple label, which I'm not familiar with. But this is a Canadian pressing as well. So the vinyl looks pretty good. Haven't listened to it yet, but I look forward to it. So a few tapes that I picked up. Earl Clue. I used to have this on vinyl, but it's one of the few. For a long time, I collected all the Earl Clue records, and then eventually I was like, I don't need to have them all physically. So I got rid of some. But I saw this on tape for 50 cents. I was like, we'll check it out again. It's called Life Stories. I don't know if I get close enough on that. And it sounded great on tape, actually. Better than I expected. And Earl Clue is just a fantastic guitar player. The mid-'80s stuff can be a little hit or miss, but I enjoyed it. And John Jarvis, which is on MCA Master Series, which is kind of like that Dan Siegel vibe, jazz, but with other contemporary elements of the time. It also sounded pretty good. The MCA Master Series stuff, I've found a few titles from, and I've enjoyed. And this one, I didn't know really that Iron and Wine was doing this archive series. And this is number 5, but it's actually his first record, which I don't think ever really came out. So this is a black cassette on Sub Pop. Yeah, apparently it was unreleased for 23 years. And I'm not really sure why, because it's great. It even sounds a bit better than his actual debut album from, I don't know, a couple years later. And it sounds good. There's some crosstalk, which these Sub Pop tapes tend to have. But sonically, it sounded good, and it was like $8. I mean, you can get the vinyl for like 20 or 25. But I just went for this. But that was kind of a surprise to even learn that this existed. And that it's quite good. I enjoyed it. So the last thing is a CD box set. This is John Coltrane Mono. It's Atlantic titles from the 60s. I don't remember all the years, but I believe Giant Steps was 1960. And the reason, basically, that I got this set is because I had a 40, what was it called? The Master Series or something from Atlantic. 45 RPM analog cut by Bernie Grundman LP of this. And it was sonically superb. It's one of the best sounding records that I had. And when I bought it, it was probably the most money I had spent on a record. I had it for 10 years, and I enjoyed it. But the value of it, just like so many records and other collectible things over the years, and especially recently, had gone up quite a bit. And I just thought, you know what? I think it's crossed the threshold. If somebody wants to pay this much for it, I should just let it go. And I did. So I spent like, I don't know, $50, $60 on this set of 6 CDs. But it was my understanding that they were pretty well done, and to have all this music collected seemed like a good idea. They're all in kind of mini LP sleeves. This is Bags and Train with Milt Jackson. It's Olay. Never had that. I do have Coltrane Plays the Blues on a Atlantic Rhino reissue, which is quite good. And this one was great. The Avant-Garde, Coltrane and Don Cherry. And this is called the Coltrane Legacy. It's an extra CD. It says it's previously unreleased recordings by the Coltrane Quartet, the John Coltrane Sextet, and the Milt Jackson John Coltrane Group. So kind of a collection of bonus material. I don't know if that's exclusive to this box set, but it's a nice set. It's also available on vinyl, and I almost got that, but it's like $150. So I went with the CDs, and I think mono is kind of the way to go for this stuff. All right, so there you go. That is my vinyl finds video. I haven't done one of those in a bit. And I think that pretty much catches me up on what's new. So I will continue the complete vinyl collection series through the shelves, through the years, back in time. And I'll be back with that shortly. Talk to you then. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy your music.